Welcome to the 15th commencement of the IIRP Graduate School, and please remain standing for our land acknowledgement by Dean Mary Jo Hebling.
We recognize that we stand on the homeland of the Lenape Nation. We give honor and respect to the Lenape Nation, the caretakers of this land, from time immemorial through today and into the future. We commit to actively support the Lenape people by maintaining and celebrating the Lenape Nation. Now, may I introduce and welcome Adam Waterbear DePaul, a tribal council member and story keeper of the Lenape Nation of Pennsylvania, for some opening remarks. Adam.
Tamike, welcome. I tend to serve as the nation's academic liaison. Over the last 20 years, I've worked with more than 15 colleges all throughout the Lenapehoking. And in this time, I've noticed a change. People are more than ever willing to discuss the painful truths of our history, more than ever willing to talk about systemic problems we face and ways that we might remedy them. And witnessing that change has been wonderful, but it's time to do more. It's time to move these theoretical classroom discussions into action. And through my work with the IIRP, I am confident in saying that they are a wonderful example of the first step of what needs to happen next. Their commitment to equity, to truth, to justice, not just for Indigenous peoples, but for all disenfranchised and marginalized peoples, goes well beyond the performative, beyond the optional essay and the elective class. They move it forward in every minute they spend with you. The next step is all of you. To take the spirit of restorative practices and all the tools you've gathered through your time with the IIRP, move that forward in all your endeavors to produce real change in the real world. On behalf of myself and on behalf of the Council of the Lenape Nation of Pennsylvania, I want to say Wanishi, thank you to all the wonderful folks at the IIRP and the valuable work they do. And I want to say Wanishi Kalua, thank you to all of you for being the next step and for moving forward in a good way. Wanishi.
Thank you, Adam. You may be seated. It's a true pleasure to be here today. I'm Linda Kligman, IIRP's third president, and I'm also a graduate like many of you here today. We are here because of your dedication to learning how to make the world a more just and compassionate place. Rumi once wrote, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." Today we are here to honor your wisdom, the efforts and hard work of the class of 2020, 2021, and 2022, who devoted yourselves to learning and growing so that we and the generations that follow might have a safer and more inclusive future. We are here to honor you. You dared to change the world by starting with yourselves and then learning how to widen your circles and expand your influence. These have not been easy years, but you managed to add earning a master's degree into your very busy lives, balancing work, family, volunteering in your communities. Even a pandemic couldn't stop you. I would like to welcome some additional honored guests, administration and faculty who are here today. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Dr. Stacy Miller, past chair of the Board of Trustees. Our provost, Dr. Craig Adamson. Professor Dr. Frida Rundell, Associate Professor and Director of Research and Program Evaluation, Dr. Gina Abrams, Dean of Continuing Education and Lecturer Mary Jo Hebling, IIRP's librarian, Zoe Modig, and last but not least, our Dean of Student Services, Jamie Keynes. Thank you. Next, take a moment to look around you and notice all the faces smiling back at you. I want to welcome all of our husbands, wives, partners, parents, children, family, and friends who helped our scholars make it to this moment. You have helped your loved ones persevere. Perhaps you live vicariously through each post and paper, but most important, you're here to celebrate their amazing accomplishment. We're so glad all of you are here. I also want to acknowledge our graduates who cannot be here, and all the others whose inspiration, love, and support help their students power through a rigorous journey. Their spirits are here with us too. All of their support is appreciated and welcome. Dr. Stacy Miller, we're so glad you traveled from Vermont to be here today. Please join me.
Thank you, President Kligman. And congratulations to all of you graduates and your families. Give yourselves a round of applause again. This is one of those days where you can keep applauding all the time, right? It feels good. As President Kligman already shared, and it goes without saying, the last few years have been difficult for all of us. Whether it's was the racial reckoning in the United States, continued political strife, the global pandemic, or just the complexities of our everyday lives, our work, our home, and our educational lives have been unstable and uprooted from any sense of normalcy. However, and despite these challenges, you have been persistent and persevered in obtaining your Master's of Science degree in Restorative Practices. We are proud of each of you and grateful that you chose the IIRP for your graduate education. More than any other degree, I suspect you will find this one to be the most versatile and transferable in its application to your life. Whether at work or at home with colleagues, friends, or family, you all know being restorative is not just academic, but it's a way of life. And our graduates are our greatest ambassadors, helping to widen the circle in moving our communities to a more compassionate and restorative way of life. So I want to thank you for everything you've done and will continue to do to be solid practitioners of restorative practices. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Next, I'd like to welcome our provost, Dr. Craig Adamson.
Welcome, class of 2022, 21, and 20. All right. I get the honor of teaching each of the graduates in our capstone course. So those really long papers and presentations that maybe you had to endure as family members, that was myself. But part of the reason that I do that is that I really enjoy reading every graduate's capstone paper. And I got to say to all of you today, these folks in front of me today and online as we're live streaming are agents of change in today's society. We need that today. And one example of that, we have a student speaker, Kailani Capote, is going to share with us today some of the work that she does and some of her passions. And the other day, she sent me her speech, and I was wowed by it. So, Kailani?
Greetings, graduates, faculty, friends, and family. My name is Kailani Capote, representing the Bronx, New York. As a child, when I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, I somehow never thought to say a restorative practices practitioner. I used to say a teacher or a counselor, but I'm truly honored that this field found me because it is indeed my Cinderella slipper. When I first started as a restorative justice coordinator in a high school, I felt like no one knew what restorative justice was, myself included. I was tasked with resolving conflict through circles and mediation and training others in how to do so. I didn't know what I was doing half the time, but I knew that this felt right. I received a lot of pushback, as I'm sure a lot of you have experienced as well. These kids need hard discipline. RJ is soft and doesn't work. What bothered me the most was that these statements were oftentimes only used for certain students. I couldn't understand why two students with similar discipline histories and who committed the same act were being given different consequences over and over. Why does student 1 get a call home, but student 2 gets suspended? Why does one student allowed to keep their hoodie on, but the other is sent to the dean's office? I began to see the school system differently. Why does the principal have such a tight budget that he has to decide whether to hire a second counselor or a dean? Why does this school need 5 police officers stationed here? That's when I knew that the work that I was doing in that one school just wasn't enough. If you have been in any course with me, you probably saw the word equity in every assignment I completed. I believe that as practitioners, we have a duty to make our services accessible to all to one day close those inequitable gaps. In recent years, I have branched out in offering services and trainings to others to do just that. At the beginning of the pandemic, I offered virtual circles for people to process what was happening and connect with others, because being expected to operate as normal was unfair and ignored that things were far from normal. I offered circles to teachers, parents who have children with disabilities, organizations, and others going through a tough time. As the country witnessed a rise in the visibility of violent attacks on the Asian community, organizations and community groups reached out looking for a safe and structured way to discuss people's anger, sadness, and fear about what was happening to those in their community. The movement for Black Lives grabbed the world's attention in the summer of 2020, which brought others to circles to discuss navigating the workplace, operating as a person of color, examining what it means to be an active ally, and witnessing gentrification and hateful rhetoric in their beloved neighborhoods. Organizations and schools struggled to decide where they stood in these fights against injustice. How do they speak to their students about these topics? Should they make a public statement in support of social justice movements? Should they paint a mural when not everyone agrees on it? What should they post on their social media? Even elected officials came to us for help unpacking a racially motivated incident in their neighborhood. However, nothing compares to the circle I facilitated for mothers who all lost their sons to gun violence. They were pleading for police reform because the first question every one of them was asked at the hospital by an officer was, "Your son in a gang?" That circle was heavy, but it was a true honor to hold that space for them to talk, connect, and continue their healing journeys. These examples show me just how clearly people need to slow down and talk to one another. We often ask, "Hey, how are you?" and keep walking before hearing the answer. In meetings, people are cutting others off and jumping in to speak so their voice doesn't go unheard. In a circle, we slow down, practice deep listening, and only speak when it is our turn to speak. So simple, yet so powerful. I don't only facilitate these conversations, but I train others in how to do it themselves so they can use these skills in their own communities. Now that things are back to some kind of normal, I am thrilled to be back in schools, training district leaders and school staff in restorative practices. All of these experiences have motivated me to change my training style to include discussing equity and the ways we all play into perpetuating these unfair systems. I believe it is these changes that have caught the attention of many other social service agencies and youth justice centers seeking training in restorative justice. I have learned so much in these last 2 years, and I owe that to my family, my colleagues, my professor, and all of you. Thank you all, and congratulations.
Thank you, Kailani. Another round of applause. So I have one of the best jobs in the world. You just got just a slice of what I get to learn as I teach courses. So all of our students here, that's a representative of the discussions and the dialogue and the discourse we have here at IIRP. So thank you. So before we get into the more formal part of today's ceremony, I want to provide a little bit of history of why we're dressed like this. We have all these different colors, and what's the significance of today. So the citron color on the hood that you're going to see in a moment in our hooding ceremony represents social services. The blue color is our school color. That's part of the hood. So wearing of this regalia for universities consisting of a cap and gown and hood began in England. In the second half of the 14th century, the statutes of certain colleges prescribed wearing of a long gown by the faculty and students, their daily attire. I couldn't imagine wearing this every day, but that's what they did. So the tradition of the special academic dress seems to have entered the United States through King's College, which is now called Columbia University, in colonial New York. As recent as 1886, both Yale and Harvard faculty were required to wear academic dress as their daily attire. The hooding ceremony at IIRP signifies a scholarly and personal achievement. As chief academic officer, placing the hood on the student signifies the passage from student to master. Among the first to recognize this rite of passage is the president of the institution, Dr. Linda Kligman. As my colleagues have stated, I can't emphasize enough the resiliency of these students continuing their studies and work through such difficult times. I have the privilege to teach and read each of their capstone papers, and I am truly in awe of all of you. Dr. Kligman and Dr. Miller, please join me at the podium. We will now begin the conferral of degrees. At the appropriate time, Dr. Kligman will ask you to stand. After she has pronounced the words of conferral, as your name is read, and you walk to me on the stage, I will take your hood and place it over your shoulders, and families are welcome to take pictures. You will then walk to Dr. Kligman for your diploma, and there'll be another opportunity for pictures. From there, they will exit the stage to the right, and we have a photographer to be able to take some professional pictures for us. Dr. Miller, you may begin the ceremony.
All right. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 2006 granted to the Board of Trustees for the International Institute of Restorative Practices the right to operate as an authorized and recognized graduate school and to confer Masters of Science degrees. We have entrusted this duty and honor to our president, her administration, and our faculty. Dr. Kligman.
Will the candidates for the degree of Masters of Science in Restorative Practices please rise and remain standing? By virtue of the authority vested in our Board of Trustees by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and placed in me by them, and upon the unanimous recommendation of our faculty, I confer upon you the degree you have earned with all the rights and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Dean Hebling will announce your name, and you will walk to the center of the stage to be hooded by Dr. Adamson, and then walk towards me.
Sheila K. Balk. Kailani Capote. Kailani is also the recipient of the Impact Scholarship. Rebecca Louise Carson Eisenman. Roberta Elizabeth Gibson. Keith Hickman. Kelsey K. Hindley. Nicole Hocker. Ann T. Huggins. Oh. Thank you, Virgil. Thank you. Hannah Mary Johnson. Trudy K. Junkrowski. Trudy is also the recipient of the Sean Such Scholarship. Krista Albano Kerber. Nicole LaLumiere Weaving. Stephen Michael Pascucci. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. You surprised me. Go, go, go. It's not about me. I'm leaving it off. Brenda Maribel Ramos. Michael Weiss. We're happy today to have some of the graduates from 2020 and 2021 here. So come to center stage when I call your name, please. Jamie Rebecca Kaintz. Molly Cortez. Beth Dara Terrence. and that was the class of 2021. From the class of 2020, St. Clair Martin Adrian. Linda Gale Blomberg. And Karen Juliana Hobbins. We would also like to congratulate the graduates from 2022, 2021, and 2020 who aren't able to join us today. Please refer to your program for our full list of graduates, and I think we could give them a round of applause as well. I'd like to take a moment now to remember our friend and partner in restorative learning, Leonard Flippen, who sadly passed away in January of 2021. Leonard was planning a 2022 graduation. He was a big and beautiful presence in our classes, in his community, and his family. He has been and will continue to be greatly missed. We'd like to take a moment to recognize the recipients of scholarships from the last two classes who are not present today. From the class of 2021, Keisha McMillan, the recipient of the Sean Such Scholarship. Class of 2022, Ivan Villasenor Madriz, the recipient of the Impact Scholarship.
Thank you. You can be seated. Let's give one more round of applause for all of our graduates. Thank you all for joining us for the 15th commencement. I invite you to stay and join our new alumni for a reception in the blast furnace room. Thank you, Adam DePaul, for being with us today. And thank you to the Fairmount String Quartet for our music. You may now stand. Our proceedings are now closed.